last part of this chapter, that is second profit and loss account statement. Okay, that is what we are going to see here today. Statement of profit and loss account. So we saw previously balance sheet. Now we're going to see how statement of profit and loss account is prepared as per the schedule 3 of the Companies Act 2013. Okay, so remember, this is part 2. Part 1 is your balance sheet and part 2 is your profit and loss account. Okay, so there are only two parts are there in your schedule 3 of the Companies Act, that is part 1 and part 2. So based on that, part 1 part 2 they have been segregated. So name of the company will come first. Profit and loss account for the year ended which year, as on 31st March so and so which year. Rupees you have to write obviously in the right side. This is actually a discipline of writing. We should always write whatever you are writing there, whether that rupees is in crores, lakhs or millions, whatever is there, that you need to mention it very clearly in the top side of the right hand side. Particular note. Okay, note means these are the items which we are going to write. Figure of the current year, reporting period and the previous year. So first, profit and loss account will start with revenue from operation. Okay, revenue from operation means that we are going to see now. Then other income. When you add revenue from operation and other income, you will get total revenue. Okay, then less expenses we have to do. So first one is cost of material consumed, then purchase of stock in trade, then changes in inventories of finished goods or work in progress or stock in trade, employee benefit expenses. Okay, that is what they have given here. Then finance cost, depreciation and amortization, and then other expenses. When you add all these items, so total how many items? First one is cost of material consumed, 1, purchase of stock in trade, 2, changes in inventory of finished good, 3, employee benefit expenses, 4, finance cost 5, depreciation 6, other expenses 7. Then you, when you add all these expenses, you will get total expenses. Okay, apart from this there are some items will be there. Okay, apart from your total expenses, there are like profit before exceptional and extraordinary items. Then exceptional items can be there, that we will see later on what are those. Then profit before extraordinary items. Okay, extraordinary items, once again profit before tax will come. What is profit before tax? 7 minus 8. Okay, so what is the 7 here? Profit before extraordinary item, then minus what? This one, 8 1 extraordinary items you need to minus, then you will get profit before tax. Then from that you need to take tax. When you say tax, you need to understand tax can be for current year or it can be for the deferred. Deferred means the future payment of tax. Okay, then profit or loss for the period from continuing operation. Continuing operation means to whatever the profit before tax is there, from that 9 minus 10 means profit before tax minus tax expenses, whatever you will get, that is called profit or loss for the period of continuing operation. Then profit or loss you may get discontinuing operation. Discontinuing means the operation or company has stopped doing the business over there. Next one, tax expenses of discontinuing operation, how much they paid tax for the last year. If last year business has stopped means the, okay, so how much tax has been paid for the current year, how much, what will be the tax. Then profit or loss from discontinuing operation after tax you will get. Then finally you will get profit or loss for the period, which is nothing but 11 plus 14. So what is 11? Profit and loss from discontinuing continuing operation plus 14th month is nothing but your profit or loss from discontinuing operation. When you add these two items, you will get profit or loss for the period. And finally, we calculate the earning per equity share. There are two EPS. This is called earning per share or earning per equity shares. So what is basically an EPS is nothing but earning per share. So there are two types in earning per share. One is called basics and one is called diluted. Okay, that we'll see later on what is basics and diluted. So usually how we calculate earning per share, what is the profit or loss The net income divided by number of equity shares, you will get the basics. Okay, that is called earning per shares. Now let us start in detail one by one. What are those items includes one by one. So revenue from operation for a company other than a finance company, for a finance company. If it is a finance company, what is the revenue for them? If it is a non-finance company, what is the revenue for them? So there are two things you need to understand. For a company other than finance company, this is nothing but non-finance company. Revenue from operation means sale of product, sale of service, other operating revenues. Those are called revenue from operation. And from this revenue, you need to minus the excise duty. Okay, this is very important. What is excise duty? It is a tax which is paid on manufacturing of goods. Okay, which is a tax which is paid on what? Manufacturing of goods. Now, for finance company, what is the revenue? Revenue from operations should include interest. Okay, finance company, what is the main? There are some companies are there whose main income is getting from what? Interest. They get a lot of interest from that company. Then other financial service revenue under each of the above heads shall be disclosed separately by the way of notes to account to the extent of applicable. So revenue from operation shall be included for finance company. What is the revenue? Remember, it is interest and other whatever the services they given, like bills of exchange or some kind of loan services. All those things will be considered as a revenue for them. But if it is a non-finance company, means they will sell the product. It's a trading company or sale of service. Again, it is a revenue for them. Okay. So that is the difference between the company revenue for finance other than finance company and finance company. Okay. Now let us move on to the next one, that is third one, finance cost. What is finance cost? Finance cost is nothing but basically the cost which is related to the finance, nothing but when you're generating the money. So when you're taking the loan or when you're borrowed the money, whatever the cost you incurred on that particular borrowed amount, that is called finance cost. So like interest expenses, other borrowing cost, applicable net gain or loss on foreign exchange transaction. Okay, all those things are called as what? Finance expenses. So basically finance expenses are nothing but the expenses which is related to the interest payment. Okay, mostly it will come interest payment, interest on loan, interest on public deposit, right? Interest on secured loan, interest on unsecured loan, whatever the loan which you have taken, that loan whatever you are paying, that is called finance cost. Okay, is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so next one we'll discuss, continue. What are other income? Other income means what? These are interest income. Company will get some interest in case the company is other than finance company. Okay, so like for example, if a company has given a loan to some other company, they will pay the interest to our company. So that is why it is called interest income. So interest that you will receive, that is the income for you. Next, some companies they will invest in other company, they will get dividend. That is dividend is also called other income. Okay. Next, net gain or loss on sale of investment. So if you have sold any investment, okay, securities, bonds, government securities, right? Those are your investment. If you have sale that investment and you might get some gain or loss on that on sale of investment, even that is also considered as other income. Okay. Next one is other non-operating income. Other non-operating income means those are which are not related to your daily income. Okay, even that also considered as what? Other income. Next, additional information they given here. The company shall disclose by way of notes additional information regarding aggregate expenditure and income on the following items. Okay. So now coming back to the employee benefit expenses. Okay. Now one by one we'll see what are the expenses. So those are finance cost and all revenue we have discussed, right? So like employee benefit expenses, what are those? Okay, Employee benefit expenses means what? Those are like salary and wages. If you are paid any salary and wages, that will come under the heading of what? Employee benefit expenses. If you are paid contribution to PF and other funds, even that is also come under your employee benefit expenses. Expenses which is on ESOP, employee state options plan, and employee state purchase plan, ESPP, even that is also considered as a what? Employee benefit expenses. Then staff welfare expenses for staff, right? You might doing some any other extra activities or for their welfare cab, right? So mostly like you, for example, you see IT companies and all, they incur expenses on the cab and all those things. That is also called staff welfare expenses. Depreciation and amortization expenses, even that is also one kind of expenses. Okay. Next one, any other item or expenditure which exceed 1% of revenue from operation or 1 lakh, whichever is higher, even that also considered as a what? Expenses. Okay. Next, interest income, interest expenses, dividend income, all those things we have seen here. Next, material goods or services. So now what is material goods and services for the company? Okay. In case of manufacturing company, raw materials are under broad heads. For them, raw material is very important. That is again the cost of material. Okay. Then goods purchased from broad heads, even that also they have been considered. Then in case of trading company, purchases in respect of goods traded in by the company under the broad head. So in case if any trading companies is there, okay, purchases related to their goods, final goods, even that was also considered as what? Cost of material consumed for them. So that is the one important you need to understand here. In case the company is rendering any supplying of services, then for them gross income derived from services rendered are shown under the broad head. They will show separately. Next, in case any company which fails under more than one category A, B and C, it is sufficient compliance with the required purchases, sales and consumption of raw material and gross income from services rendered is shown under separate head. Okay, this is not required. Okay, just next one, I will go directly. What are the major expenses for any company? So expenses like expenditure incurred on the following items. These are the expenses where a company other expenses. Okay, like we have on items right in your our balance sheet, profit and loss account, something called as other expenses also. Even that also can be considered all here. Okay, what are other expenses? Now we are going to see now. Okay. So for example, other expenses like consumption of stores, power and fuel, rent, repairs of building, repairs of machinery, repairs of insurance. Okay, it is repeated here. Rates and taxes, taxes on income, miscellaneous expenditure. All those things are called other expenses. Then subsidiary informations, like if any dividend you getting by the subsidiary company means the part of holding company. Okay, then that is also shown some information in our P&L account. Provision for losses of subsidiary company, even that also we need to show. Forex information. Now you see, must some company must be involved in the foreign exchange transactions. Even that forex information also has to be recorded and it has to be shown. Okay, the let's say you have imported the goods. Okay, you have to calculate the CIF value basis by company during the financial year. Okay, cost, insurance and freight. What is CIF? Cost, insurance and freight value, like on raw material, components and spare parts, capital goods, all those things you need to record over here. Then expenditures on foreign currency during the financial year on account of royalty, know-how, professional and consultation fees, interest, and other matter. Even that also you need to record. If you have done any consulting expenditure in foreign currency, or if you have given any consultancy to the foreign company, so they must have paid the money to you, or you must have incurred some money, right? Or you taken some consultancy from foreign company. Even that expenditure forex you have to show here. Okay. Next one, total value if imported raw materials, spare parts and component consumed during the financial year, and total value of all the indigenous raw material, spare parts, components are shown under the heading of total consumptions. How much consumption means to cost of material consumption, even that also we need to show here. Okay, this is not required. Okay, so that's all is your this chapter. So here, for example, they have given some important, I will give you. True and fair view means, remember, all the company has to prepare the financial report according to the respective, like insurance company has to follow the Insurance Act as well as IRD. I have discussed with you. In case of banking company, any matter which are not required to be disclosed by Banking Regulation Act 1949. And the next one is, for example, any companies like, if it's a electricity company is there and they are preparing the financial reports, and some matters are there which has to be disclosed as per the Electricity Act 2003, that we need to, they have to disclose. Okay. Next one, any company, in case of company, any other laws which they are framed under laws and all, even that all information or matter which are disclosed or which are not disclosed, even that also need to be recorded in the balance sheet. Means when you are preparing the final account, right, balance sheet and P&L account, everything should be made as a part of the disclosure, and it should be done as a part of what, notes or some additional information, so that when the reader reads, like, you say, for example, if Bescom is preparing the final report like balance sheet and P&L account, they should follow the Electricity Act and some information related what Electricity Act says in their act. They need to disclose all those informations. Okay, now I told you one important items like extraordinary items. I was discussing this in the P&L account. So what is extraordinary items? Okay, this basically, if any expenses or income that does not arise, okay, if any expenses or income that does not arise in the ordinary course. What is the meaning of ordinary course? Nothing but regular course during the business, okay, during the operating cycle, that is called ordinary course, and are material, and they should be stated separately in the profit and loss account. So now in the profit and loss account, we have one provisions related to extraordinary items. So you need to calculate your profit or loss before extraordinary items and after extraordinary items. So what is extraordinary items? Basically, those expenses which is incurred by the company, or those income you get which are not regular, okay, that does not arise in the ordinary course. Such expenses or items are called as extraordinary items, which are not regular in nature. For example, fixed asset is sold. Obviously, we will not do this item in a ordinary course. Fixed asset sold when you will sell the asset, when the asset value is been completed, right? When it completely get depreciated, we'll sell it, and the amount of scrap value will be recorded as a what, extraordinary items. Its profit or loss to be shown separately. If you get, when you sell the asset, whether you got a profit or loss, again it has to be shown separately. Okay, then another example can be speculation, right? Speculation, bettings and all those things, those are called extraordinary items. So again, there is a loss or profit can happen on speculations, like investment in the stock market. Okay, that is also one kind of speculation. So next one, you what is one other example they given for extraordinary item? Like another would be the subsidy you received from government for operational purpose. Now you see, subsidy is not a regular, you won't get subsidy regularly. Most of the time you see government provides the subsidies to the manufacturing industries. If you set up your business in any rural areas or any kind of undeveloped area or very rural completely, where there is no industry and all, you get some subsidy from the government, and that is one time assistance. So that is called extraordinary items. Okay, so sometime it is played a very important role in our P&L account. When you are preparing the profit and loss account, please treat these extraordinary items separately, and you have to show how much you got, the amount or expenses you have done on this. Okay, so that is the meaning of what, extraordinary items, which is being recorded in the profit and loss account. Okay, now if suppose, next one is, they says any changes in the accounting policy. If at all, if there is any changes in the accounting policies, let's check. Most of the time we face so many methods of valuation of inventories. Okay, so can anybody tell me what are the methods or valuation of inventory? How do you value a inventory? Do you have any idea of valuation of inventory? What are different methods? If you have studied in Cost accounting. What are the methods are available for valuation of inventories?
So one of them is ABC analysis.
ABC analysis. Okay.
Maybe I think that's what.
ABC analysis. Okay, fine. Kirti, I think Madam has started material costing.
Yes, sir. Info.
Yeah, yeah. Info something. Center.
So LIFO, FIFO.
You want to say that one, Kirti? LIFO, FIFO, what Vishwata said? I think
So
she
she,
left.
yes, sir. She has some network issues.
Okay, fine, fine. So what are the methods for valuation of inventory? We have LIFO, FIFO, weighted average. Yes or no? EFO, NIFO. Then ABC analysis is there, one of the method of valuation of inventory. So what happens? The company has this is also again the change in accounting policy, right? If you say there is a method of valuation of inventory is being changed or change in depreciation, even that also accounting you need to be mention that the company has changed their uh, provision for depreciation charging according to which method are is it a WDV or SLM method or time value method or annuity method. In fact there are almost 36 methods, right? More than 30 methods for depreciation, but mostly we follow WDV and SLM method. So you need to be specifically, you have to disclose, there has to be a disclosure about the fact of change on and the profit and loss account. Because of this changes in the accounting policy also there will be a change in your profit or loss, right? According to WDV method the profit can be different, and according to written down value SLM method the profit can be different. That also you need to be very clear, right? So those things should be reflected in your balance sheet, nothing but in your P&L account also, financial statement. So this was all about your second chapter we have completed over here. So this is a lesson roundup. Okay, you can read it, you will get to know the summary of the lesson. So balance sheet of the company, like final account of the company consists balance sheet, profit and loss account, and section 129 of the Companies Act, which gives the proper prescribed format. These are the chances of the question for MCQs, according to which section we prepare the profit and loss account and balance sheet of the, it is prepared as per the section 129 which has been prescribed, and balance sheet has been prepared according to the schedule 3 of the Companies Act. Then schedule 3 sets a minimum requirement for disclosure of balance sheet, profit and loss account and notes to accounts. Then profit and loss account shall be prepared according to the part 2. Okay, this also can be your MCQ question. They can ask you part 2 and schedule 3 of the Companies Act, and section 129(1) of the Companies Act 2013. It states the financial statement should give the true and fair view, right? Whatever the financial statement whichever you have prepared, according to which section it says according to the section 129(1) of the Companies Act, which says that whatever financial statement, what is financial statement? It includes your P&L account, balance sheet, notes to account. It should give me the true and fair view of the state of affair of the company. True and fair view means everything should be clear and transparent. Nothing should be error or frauds. And it should be done according to the accounting standard which is notified in section 133. Whatever you do, the items which you record like inventories, cash flows, so many, for each and every items there is a separate accounting standards. Even that also we need to follow it properly as per time to time, and those accounting standards have been classified for and for the different companies in the schedule 3. Okay, so this was all about your second chapter. Is that clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so now I'm going to start with the next chapter, that is chapter number 3, that is accounting for share capital. Okay, that was all about your second chapter. I'll just share my screen. So third chapters which we are going to discuss now. Okay, just give me a confirmation. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let us start with the next chapter, that is chapter number 3. Accounting for share capital. Okay, this is the chapter which we are going to discuss in our class today. Okay, so let us start. First of all, okay, you need to understand what is the meaning of share. So what is basically a share and what it means according to several act is there given. Okay, so first discuss what is share is all about. Okay, so remember there is one section called section 2, okay, subsection 84 of the Companies Act 2013. Companies Act 2013, which defines the share, the meaning of what? The share. So what is share? Share means a share in the share capital, okay, in the share capital of the company and its stock. So this is the meaning of shares. What is share? A share means what? Which is again a share only. Share means a small portion of the total share capital. Okay, as per which section? As per the section of 2, okay, subsection 84 of the Companies Act 2013, which defines the meaning of share. Nothing but a share means a share in the part in the share capital of the company and its stock. So when you say what is stock? Stock is the group of shares. Group of shares are called as stock. So whether you say share capital or you say stock, okay. So when you say stock, it is a combination of total shares. When you say share capital, it represent what is share capital now then? Share capital, it represent the total amount. Represent the total amount of company, total amount of company. That is nothing but share capital basically. So you should be very clear when you say when you say share capital and when you say share stock. Those things are very different in the terms of what companies' perspectives, right? So this is what we discuss over here now. So now let us discuss with the further. Understood till here?
Yes.
So we discuss what is share, okay, according to that particular section. Okay, now understand every share will have its every share will have its own what? Face value. So if you are saying a share means the share should have its face value. What is face value? Example, like face value can be 1 rupee, it can be 2 rupees, okay, it can be 10 rupees or it can be 100 rupees also. So those are called as face value, okay. And why we need face value? Why? What is the importance of face value? Face value helps in declaring the dividend. It helps in what? Declaring the dividend. It means what? When a company is declaring the dividend, they always declare dividend on the face value of the shares, not on the capital, right? For example, if Mr. A purchased 1000 shares at the rate rupees 10 and company declares the dividend of rupees 2, of let's say 2%. Company declare how much dividend? Company declare the dividend 2% on the face value of the share. This is how they will declare the dividend now. So now what will be the dividend we'll get to Mr. A? How to calculate the dividend now? Let us see. So what is the dividend calculation? So dividend, how do you calculate? So what is the face value of the share which he has purchased? 10 rupees. So 10 into company declared dividend, which is nothing but 2% on the face value. Okay. So 2%, 10 rupees, 2% is nothing but how much? It will come to 0.02. Is that clear? Calculate 10 rupees, 2%, 0.2. Sorry.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It is 0.2. How much dividend he will get? How many shares he has purchased? 1000. So 1000 shares into rupees 0.20. What is the amount of dividend?
200.
So he will get 200 rupees dividend. So this is the amount of dividend. So now you understood what is the importance of face value, why we have to calculate face value, why it is needed. Correct, no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So the face value helps to know the dividend, and you see note will also have its face value, right? 10 rupees note, 100 rupees note, 500 rupees note. Okay. So now understand everyone, company sources its fund from share capital. Correct, no? Company will source their fund from where? From the share capital. And how, who has given a permission to raise the amount through share capital? Company will have, company prepare two important documents, right? What are those two important documents of the company? First one is MOA, second one is AOA. So one is, what is MOA? What is MOA? Memorandum of Association. What is AOA? Articles of Association. So in MOA there are total how many clauses are there? 6 clauses, right? Under the 6 clauses, okay, there is one clause called capital clause. Capital clause. This clause, okay, tells the company, okay, how much money can be raised through the share capital. One of, right? So we have been already studied this capital clause. I am not going much detail, but try to understand how did you decided to raise the money from company has decided to source their money from share capital. So now who has given the permission to raise the money from share capital? It is the memorandum of association who has given the permission for share capital, right? Again in memorandum of association, if you see, there is a clause called capital clause. This clause gives the rights to the company to raise the money through share capital. So that is why we raise the money through what? Share capital. Okay. Is that clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Next. Now what are the kinds of share capital? What are the kinds of share capital for any company? Kinds means what are the types of shares? Okay. So now first of all understand company can raise through shares, right? So when you say shares, can be broadly can be equity shares or preference shares, right? So when you say equity shares, so you have to be very clear. Equity shares can be two types, with voting rights, and next another type of equity share is with differential rights. Please do understand. There are two types of equity shares. Okay, one is equity shares with voting rights. Only those shares who get only voting right. What is differential right? Who get voting also, okay, or who get dividend. Sometimes they get both. So these are called as equity shares with differential rights. Okay. So when you say preference shares, again preference shares are so many different types. Redeemable preference shares.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, but differential is voting and dividends or voting all dividends, sir?
Voting, as sometimes voting they get or dividend, plus voting and dividend both they can get.
Okay. Done.
So redeemable preference shares, that is the first type of what? Preference shares. So there are two types of shares company can raise from the market. One is equity shares and one is preference shares. Equity shares are two types. Okay, one is what? Equity shares with voting rights and equity share with differential rights. There are two types of equity shares. Okay, next, what are the types of preference share? Redeemable preference share is the first one. Irredeemable, right? That is the second one. So what is irredeemable preference share? Excuse me of my spelling. Next, convertible preference shares, non-convertible preference shares. Then we have cumulative preference shares, non-cumulative preference shares. Total how many over? 6. Participating, non-participating preference shares. There are total how many are there? There are total 8 types of preference shares are there in the company, right? So what is redeemable? Redeemable means we can redeem over a period of time, and preference shares are they are issued for maximum of how many years? Preference shares are issued for maximum of how many years? 20 years. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
So now what is redeemable, which can be redeemed within the 20 years? Irredeemable means the amount of the preference shares will be not redeemed. Only the what will happen, they will get they may get or they may not get such kind of preference, but they get regular dividend. Irredeemables, they won't get their capital back. Convertible, you can convert this kind of preference shares into equity. Non-convertible, which are not convertible into the equity shares. Cumulative preference share and non-cumulative preference share, try to understand the meaning of cumulative and non-cumulative. If a company is not paid a dividend in the current year, okay, Then in cumulative, what happens? The dividend of last year will carry forward the dividend for the next year. So here carried forward the dividend. Dividend will get carried forward. Then in non-cumulative preference share, what happens? If the company is not having any profit in the current year, they may not declare dividend. So that is, and even the dividend also will not carry forward for the next years. That is what it is called non-carried, non-forwardable, or we can say non-carried dividend. Dividend will be not carried for the next year. That is the difference. Participating preference shares means those preference shares who participate in the surplus of the company. Whenever a company have a surplus of profits or surplus amount of resource, they get some rights in the surplus of the company. Participating preference share. Non-participating means they will not get no participation in surplus. Okay, they won't get any surplus of the company. The surplus amount will be not shared with non-participating preference share. So this is a basic difference, okay, of all these types of preference shares. Got it? Till now, is that clear?
Yes, sir.
So now let us see, okay, what is now the basic difference between equity and preference. So when you say equity and preference, how do you say, what exactly you say the difference? We say one is equity share and one is what? Preference share. What is the difference between both? Equity share, what is the difference? What is the main thing you get in equity share? Okay, let me write here. Oh, I'll just insert one column. Okay. Okay. Tell me, do you get refund? Do you get refund in equity share capital?
No, sir.
So no refund. The basic difference in case of winding up of the company. This is a general difference between I am discussing. Preference share, what do you get refund of capital? Do preference share get refund?
Yes, sir.
They get refund. So means what? Refund, you will get refund of capital in case of winding up of the company. Is that clear? That is one difference. Next one, right of dividend. Yes, tell me, do they get dividend? Is it a compulsory to pay dividend? Equity share? Or do they get rights of any dividend? Equity share? Yes. Next, what is the rate of dividend? Is it a rate of dividend? Equity share is fixed or fluctuating?
Fluctuating, sir.
Fluctuating means there is no fixed rate of dividend, correct? No? What about preference share? They may get
Fixed
fixed
rate of dividend.
dividend. That is one thing. Next, who have a chance to vote? Who have a right to vote?
Equity shareholders.
Equity shareholders. So equity shareholder get the rights. We can say enjoys the right to vote, do not enjoy, or we can say they don't enjoy redemption. Do equity share capital, we do redemption or we do repay? No redemption. Redemption is not possible, right, in the equity share. Preference shares always redeemable. Is that clear? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So these are the some basic difference between the equity and preference shares. Types of capital. What are the types of share capital we see in the company usually that we are going to see next one? First one is authorized capital. Next one is issued capital. Next one is called up capital. Next one is paid up capital. Okay. So these are the types of share capital we can see in the company. Okay. When you see a balance sheet, that time you can see this type of capitals. Usually they will disclose authorized capital. It is also called as what? Nominal or registered capital. What it means? What is the meaning of authorized capital? It is the maximum capital which a company can be raised. Agree? Maximum capital company can raise from the market. So that is called as authorized capital. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
And remember, authorized capital must be disclosed in your MOA. Now, can you tell me in MOA which clause? Which clause? There are total 6 clauses are there. Under which clause?
Capital clause, sir.
Yeah, perfect. So under the capital clause. Do you know the name? What are the different types of clause available in MOA? I think you must have known this one. Okay. So this is all about authorized capital. Issued capital. It is a part of AC. AC means authorized capital, which is offered to the public. Which is offered to the what? Public for subscription. Which is offered to the public for what? Subscription. That is called as issued capital. That is called as what? Issued capital. So now remember always authorized capital and issued capital. These all they go together. Okay. All these types of capital they go in together. Okay. So issued capital is a part of your authorized capital. That is what it has been given in the meaning. Okay. So usually from issued capital, whatever you are issuing, they will give for the public for subscription. What is nominal capital? Okay. Next one is called up capital. What is called up capital? It is the amount, okay, which is called, okay, which is been called by the company from the shareholders, which is called from the shareholders. And company, what they do, they request them for to make the payment. Okay, this is nothing but called up capital. So called up capital is a part once again of issued capital. Okay, it is a part of what? Issued capital. Then paid up capital means from this called, how many people are paying, that is called paid up capital. So it is a part of, it is a what? Part of called up capital. It is a part of what? Called up capital, where the members, okay, or shareholders which have paid money to the, which they have been paid money. So now what is the meaning of this? Issued is, let's say, 1000 shares. Called up is 800. From 800, 600 paid. That is the actual process. So now which is real? 1000 is real, 800 is real, or 600 is real capital of company?
600.
600 is the real. Always look the paid up capital. How much people are paid? Some people simply they will purchase, but they may not pay the amount, right? So this is the hierarchy. Don't forget this hierarchy. First issue authorized, then issued, then called up, then paid up capital. Tell me, till now everything is clear?
Yes, sir.
Kirti, she's having network issues.
Yes, sir.
Now, is the network issue solved here?
Yes, sir. Because it's raining over here, so I have bit disturbance in network, sir.
Oh, in Malleshwaram it's raining now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, fine. Procedure to issue. What is the basic procedures where the company issues shares? One thing remember, procedures means what are the rules and regulation they have to follow, and what are the steps a company will take while issuing the shares. Okay, so try to understand when the company is issuing shares, what are the procedures they follow. First, you remember they have to take the regulatory authority of company. Every company is nothing but, one is the Companies Act, which is very important, Companies Act 2013, and one is the SEBI, that is nothing but Securities Exchange Board of India. These are the two important regulatory authorities for any company when they are issuing the shares. Why SEBI came suddenly? Because tomorrow you going to register your company shares in the stock market, right? So who is the regulator of BSE and NSE? Obviously it will be the SEBI only, right? That is why you need to take the permission and you need to follow certain rules of SEBI also when you're issuing the shares. Okay. So when a company is raising the money through share capital, they must invite first, right? Simple meaning is what? They should have the prospectus. They should design the prospectus. Okay. So prospectus is one kind of invitation to the public to subscribe the shares of the company. Now PUC admission has degree admission started. So all of the companies started with selling their prospectus. Same thing company also will do the same thing procedures. Prospectus, they should have that one, and then through prospectus they will collect which money. First they will start collecting the application money, and then based on that they have to collect something called as what? Allotment money, right? So they have to allot number of certain shares based on the what? How much company has been issued. And remember one thing, company when the people are subscribing the shares, okay, that is called subscription of the shares. They should get how much? 90% of the total shares issued to the public. At least they should get 90% of the total share which they have been issued to the public. Is one rule is there. Issue of shares and Capital Disclosure Act. In module 1 there is one subject called securities law and capital market law. There you will study in detail about how the company issue the shares. Okay, I think Vishuta, you have been studying that. There is one issue of Capital and Disclosure Act is there one.
Yes, sir.
There you will have, if you study that whole that one chapter, it is very worthy to read. There you will understand the real how the company issue the shares, that is they given, because there is the act is there to follow that. Okay, so allotment money. Next one is, then they have to start different calls they have to make from the company, right? So first call, 1 second. Okay, so first call, then second call, like this they have to make call, final call. In fact, the call starts from application money only. That is become your first, second and all. Okay, so different calls the company has to make. So these are the procedures when finally they will get the shares. Next one, terms of issue of shares. So what are the ways where a company can issue the shares? Am I audible? Sorry, I didn't ask you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Terms of issue of shares. Issue can happen at par, right? So issue at par, issue can happen at a premium, and issue can happen at a discount. So you need to be very clear what is par. Issue value and face value both are equal. If the company is issuing the shares at 10, so 10 and the face value is also 10. So this is called issue at par. Is that clear? So it means what? Company need to check what is the amount of the face value what they have decided. When the face value is equal to the par value, right? Then that is called as issue of shares at a par. Nothing is being given more than or less than that. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
If the company is suppose issued, if the company is issued 100 shares at the rate rupees of 10. Okay, if the company is issued 100 shares at the rate rupees 10, which is equal to the face value, which is equal to the what? Face value. So first what we will do, we will collect which money? We will collect the application money. So when we collect the application money, what will be the entry? Basically will come bank account debit, right? Share application money account. Normally this is what the entry they will pass for raising the what? Money, that is bank account debit to share application money. Is that clear? Then what company will do now for later on? Whatever the money they have got through issue of par, 100 shares at the rate of rupees 10. So 100 share at the rate of rupees 10 means how much amount they will get? They will get total how much? 1000 rupees. This is the total application money which they have been collected. And then this application money, what they have to do? They have to use and transfer to the share capital account. So they have to start with the process of allotment. So when you say allotment, okay, of allotment, what they do? Whatever the share application money we have been received, that will be transferred to what? Share application money account. It will be what? Debited basically to share capital. So in our share capital account, we received 1000 rupees. Done. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Issue of shares at a premium means what?
Sir, if you could show the journal entry for allotment. Yes, sir, thank you.
Issue of shares at a premium means what?
More than the face value.
More than the face value. So issue value, okay, nothing but the company's total value will be more than the what? Face value. So issue value will be greater than face value. So it means more than face value. So let's take issue value is 12, face value is 10. So what is the, sorry, that is a problem. If suppose the company is issued 12 rupees, issue value is 10 and face value is 10 means, oh, it is taking in a different way, but remember this is okay. Issue value is, let's say, 12 and face value is, let's say, 10. So what is the difference? Premium is how much? The difference between both, it is nothing but what? Premium. That is called as premium. So premium is how much? 2 rupees. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Now, how do you treat companies issue at a premium? If you receive any shares at a premium, first of all, what we pass basically entry bank account debit to, let's say if it is a share means we'll write equity share capital account. Right? 2. The premium amount will go to which account? Securities premium account. Right? So in case of allotment, what we do entry? Share allotment account debit to equity share capital account. And remember the premium amount will go to securities premium account. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Next. Now next one is issue of shares at what? Discount. Issue value will be less than what? Less than FV. Let's say 10 rupees is the issue value. Okay, but you issued at 8 rupees. So that is, once again it will be 2 rupees is a loss for you, right? If suppose your issued value is 8 and you have issued the, let me write like this, company's face value is 10, so it is nothing but 2 rupees is a loss. Is that clear? I think you know this concept, right? What is law, discount, and what is premium and all. Got it?
Yes, sir.
So that is called discount, issue of shares at a discount. So basically discount is always for the loss for the company. So you need to understand that is very important. Okay. So these are the main where the types a company can issue, terms of the company of shares they can issue. Okay. Next one will describe subscriptions of the shares. Remember there is called minimum subscription, maximum subscription, okay. Sorry, just subscription. And next one is something called as what? Over subscription. Okay, this itself is nothing but your over subscription. Maximum, or we can say this is called over subscription. And minimum subscription is nothing but what? Sometimes what happens, a company has to take let us discuss this one by one. One is nothing but your under subscription. Under subscription. These are the terms. So now what is this subscription? Minimum subscription. What is the minimum subscription as any company has to be done? That is been prescribed by the companies in the articles of association. It should be prescribed. Okay, the minimum amount it has to be collected in the company when they are going to subscribe from the public. That is called minimum subscription. So when you say subscription, the shareholders can subscribe. Minimum they should subscribe as per the articles of association, means if you say 90% at least minimum they should subscribe. That is what the concept will come over here. So 90% is called as minimum subscription. What is over subscription? Let's say company has issued 1000 shares and people have applied 1200 shares. So 200 is my over subscription. Shares has been got subscribed over. So when a company get over subscription, they do something called pro rata allotment. They divide the company's shareholders, they give the shares basis on the some ratio of number of shares issued is equal to number of shares applied. This is called pro rata. And based on that they will calculate and then they will decide for each shareholder how much shares they will get. So if you shown interest that you suppose you have applied in a company like 10 shares, let's say Zomato is coming for IPO and you decided that you want 10 shares, you have subscribed 10 shares. But what if it is an oversubscription? You may not get 10 shares. So in that oversubscription, what happens? They try to give the shares based on the ratios, proportion ratios, that is called pro rata allotment. Okay. And based on the pro rata, they will give you, if you apply 10, you will get 3 or 2 only. That's all, because they want to give for everyone, right? That is called oversubscription. Is that clear?
Sir, please show the formulas that you've written.
1 second.
Thank you, sir.
Is that clear, others? Kirti and Rakshita?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what they do in case of that one? What is under subscription now then? What is under subscription? What do you think?
So the 90% will not be satisfied or fulfilled.
90% will be not satisfied. So under subscribed means where the company receives application for less number of shares which are offered for the public. So you issued 1000 shares which you are offered to the public. You offered 1000 shares, but you got only 700 shares. So 300 shares are under subscription. This is called under subscription. So that is what the concept of under subscription will come into the picture over here. Now you tell me, sometime company what they do, if they don't get 90%, then they have various options. They will call for the underwriter, that we are going to see later on. Last part is underwriter only. Some company, if they get under subscription, they refund the money of the shareholders. What is the use of taking that money? That money has to be refunded, because as per, that is why I told you, right? What are the regulatory authority you need to follow? SEBI. SEBI says that some amount of subscription you should get from the market. So what if that you didn't get, means you have to refund the money to the shareholder within, then you Now after completing that IPO state, within 30 days you should refund that money, whatever you have collected from the shareholders. So that is called rejection of undersubscribe. Okay, under subscription. Sometimes rejection of oversubscription also can happen. Sometimes they will reject your money if it is oversubscribed also. Okay. Till now, is that clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Next, let us discuss one concept of calls in advance and interest on calls in advance. What is the meaning of this? What is first of all calls in advance? The shareholder paid money in advance before the company calls. That is called calls in advance. I'm just writing what I understood. If the company, because every shareholders, they have to pay their money in terms of various calls, right? Some shareholders, if they paid the money in advance, that is called calls in advance. Okay. So what happens, that money will be taken by the company. Company will not say that we will not accept that money. Company will accept the money, and that money, whatever the number of shares which is been allotted on that first call money, whatever the shareholders has been paid to the company in advance, that is called calls in advance. Before the company raise the next call, the shareholder has prepaid the money in advance, that is called calls in advance. Okay, now you tell me, when a company is receiving some advance, okay, that is why calls in advance will come. Now what is interest on calls in advance? Interest on calls in advance. Now company has received the money, okay, in advance. So what happens? The interest, okay, whatever is there paid by the shareholders, the company has to pay the interest on calls in advance, whatever they have been received from the shareholders. That is called interest on calls in advance. So what happens? It is a debt to the company. Remember, interest on calls in advance is a debt to the company. Correct? No, because they have to pay the interest on that. So company is liable to be pay the interest on the amount which is received as a what? Calls in advance from the date when the shareholder has been paid. So interest, when they will pay? Interest is paid from which the amount is received. From that day they have to pay the interest, the amount is received till the next call. Okay, till the next call, before, because they have to go step by step. Okay, so company, what they do, till suppose first call is company is going to call after allotment, and for next call they are going to do after 1 month, but some of the shareholder will pay the in advance that first call money. So till the next call, whatever the interest will be there, that company has to pay interest to that particular shareholder. That is called interest paid from the date from which the amount has been received till the next call, whatever the company has to be announced. That is called interest on calls in advance. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
So
sir.
interest on calls in advance is, remember, it's a debt. It's a liability for the company. Please do understand this one. Okay. Okay. Next one is, okay, one second. Calls arrears and interest on calls in arrears. What is the difference between now this? Now what do you think? What is calls in arrears? Now here whose mistake is there? Company's mistake or shareholders mistake in calls in arrears?
Shareholders, since there were calls in arrears, even if it is called, they have not paid the money.
Yeah, even though if they have called, they have been not paid. So here shareholders mistake is there. So when calls are made, okay, when the company is making any calls and they are made on whom? Shareholders only. And if because shareholders are what? Liable to pay the amount, right? So if any shareholders default in payment of the call money, that is called default. So just one word you have to remember. Default in payment of call money called as calls in arrears. Nothing to bother much about this. So if the shareholders are defaulted the money, they said they have to pay on 13th of June, they have to pay first call, but they defaulted. Then that is called calls in arrears. Tell me, is calls in arrears is a debt to the company? Is it a debt? I mean to, okay. Next one is interest on calls in arrears. Sorry, I didn't write this one. Now you tell me. Now tell me, who will get interest here?
Company, sir.
Company will get interest, and in previous calls in advance, the company was paying the interest. That is why it was debt to the company. So now your interest on calls in arrears is an income for the company. So it is a income for the company. Is that clear? Concept of this too?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Next, issue of shares for consideration other than cash. Issue of shares for consideration other than cash. Okay, if you want a break, you please do ask me, because I am taking from 5 to 6:30. I took right now. It has been 1.5 hours. If you want a break for 5-10 minutes, please do ask me. Hello?
Uh, yes, sir, you're audible, sir. I'm fine, sir, if they want to call, because I'm fine with the continuation class.
Okay.
Even I'm fine, sir.
You're fine with continuing?
Also fine, sir.
Right. So issue of shares for consideration other than cash. So you know, right, shares can be issued. It can be in the cash or it can be other than cash. What is the meaning of this particular sentence? You try to understand. Case 1. Case 1. In what are the cases where the company can, other than cash, they can issue the shares? Like for example, there are some shares which are issued to the promoters. Are issued to the promoters of the company. Now you tell me, but what you know, company will not ask the money from them. Now why did these shares given because of the promoters' hard work and because of the promoters provided a service to the company, and because of this the company's goodwill will generate, so they may not ask any money from the promoters, but the company will give the shares to them. In fact, promoters are the people who brings the ideas and all in the company, right? So they also have the rights. They also hold some shares in the company. Definitely, it is again, if you see the rules, I think the rule says it should be not less than 25%. If a company has 100% share, 25% of the share should be purchased by the promoters of the company. There is a one rule is there. Is that clear? That is called other than cash. Shares issued to the promoters of the company because of their service, and because of this service the goodwill of the company will increase. Okay, this is case number 1. Is that clear? Where they can issue the shares apart from cash? Free. Got it?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Case 2. Now for example, in case number 2, what can be? In case a company does not have sufficient funds, okay, to purchase some fixed asset or for payment of any kind of what? Creditors. So what will happen, for example, if the company has creditor, and for creditor we have to pay 1 lakh rupees. Company has a creditor, and for this creditor we have to pay how much? 1 lakh. So instead of the company will give the shares to the creditor. Do you know this one? This can also happen. Can this happen? This can
Yes, sir.
happen. Okay. There is a one chapter in advanced corporate accounting I taught you people. Internal reconstruction. Do you remember that chapter? Internal reconstruction.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So in internal reconstruction, if you remember, sometime we used to give the shares to the creditor also. Company will issue some shares to the creditor. Instead of making the payment to the creditor, they may give the shares. What is the total amount of value is available with them? That also can be done. Is it possible or not?
Possible, sir.
Yes, Kirti, you have studied recently internal reconstruction. Fine. Did you understand case
Yes.
number 2 now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So that is what I was discussing. So these are some consequences where the company can issue of shares for consideration other than cash. Case 1, case 2, done. Next, let us discuss now forfeiture of shares. What do you understand with the word forfeiture of shares? What is forfeiture?
Reissue. Reissue of shares.
That is the steps they take for forfeiture. But what is the meaning of forfeiture?
Sir, if somebody has not completely made the payment for the shares after subscription, they will be cancelled and it will be returned back to the company.
Okay, correct. Fine, correct. Forfeiture of shares means cancellation of the shares. Word forfeiture means cancellation of shares. When we cancel the shares, if the shareholders, okay, if the shareholder does not did not paid the allotment money or call money, then the company will decide to cancel the shares of the shareholder. In fact, shareholder is not a right word. They use here applicants. They use the word applicant. Okay, but to make it very simple, I'm just using the shareholders. Now you understood? When we cancel the share, when we forfeit the shares. So what is forfeiture of shares? Simple meaning, forfeiture of shares, FS. Non-payment of which money? Tell me. Non-payment of, first is non-payment of allotment money, or sometime along with allotment money, if he has not paid even the call money also, then what we will do? We will do the forfeiture of shares. Tell me, is it making some sense? Now, what is the formula for forfeiture of shares?
Yes.
What is the formula? Non-payment of which money? Allotment money plus
Call money.
call money. So then we decide, the company will decide to cancel the shares. So okay, so that is nothing but your forfeiture of shares. Now tell me what the company will do with that forfeiture of shares. What the company has to do with the forfeiture of shares?
Reissues.
Effect of forfeiture of shares. So what is the company will do? The company, first of all, they will remove the name of the shareholders, right? Shareholder, they will cancel and they will remove the name. That is the effect of this one, forfeiture of shares. Next, what will do? They will do once it is done. There is a procedure is there for forfeiture of shares. Remember. So when you say procedures, so the company has to give some notice period of 14 days, okay, and then the company has to, board of director has to completely, they have to take one decision, they have to pass one resolution, and based on that they have to decide the forfeitures of the shares. Okay, so that is what the company will do, and finally what will happen? Forfeiture of shares. After forfeiture, okay, forfeiture of shares, the company can reissue the forfeited shares. Now, one thing remember, the forfeiture of shares can be reissued either at a par or it can be at a premium. So this is the method what they will do, follow when in case of forfeiture of the shares. So when you are cancelling the shares, either you can issue at a par or you can issue at a what? Premium. And discount also possibility is there, but very few, where the company, most of the company, they go for discounting of reissue of forfeiture of shares. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this was all about your shares. So we started with how the company issue the shares. Then finally we end up with how the company forfeit the shares. Please do read it. Okay, Vishuddha. Okay, you have to read in between. Okay, this one. I have derived the concept, everything. Everything is within that only. If you have understood, then it will become very easy for you to interpret.
Okay.
So, okay, so we'll just take 10 minutes of break. We'll come back with buyback of shares. Then I will start with new concept in this issue of share capital only. Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then I will, okay, I'll just